A huge minaret was next on our visit. The Qutub Minar, absolutely enormous. I think it's 72 metres tall and really impressive. It has 379 steps, and you used to be able to go in it and climb them. But in 1985, the lights went out, causing a sort of major stampede on the staircase. And 45 people were killed, mainly children who were there on a school visit. And ever since then it's been stopped. You can't go in it at all. And then alongside it is this weird iron pillar, which I think I said was brought here in 800 AD, but it wasn't. It was taken there in 1283 AD. That was when it arrived in this place. And it's been there ever since. And if you want to know a little bit more about it, obviously then, particularly the chemistry of why it has rusted to it, it's quite complicated. But there's a big explanation on the internet about it. Where we are today, Qutub Minar. This is the Qutub Minar, which is about 70-something metres high and was built without any machinery at all a long time ago, and it was built by the Afghan rulers of India before they were kicked out. And this funny little thing poking up here to the right is a solid iron pillar which came from central India, and it was made about 500 AD and brought here at about 800 AD, and it's been here ever since. And because it's 99% pure, it hasn't rusted at all. It's really strange. And it used to have a falcon on top, but that seems to have disappeared. I'm standing in is the very first mosque built by the Afghans when they arrived. But unusually for a mosque, it's got very detailed carvings in it, including some human faces. The outside, all the carving has been removed, and the building is quite plain. And they obviously thought they were going to be here for a long, long time and would be able to remove the carving from all of these pillars. Not just these pillars in this mosque, in this building, but because the stone was taken from Hindu buildings which were demolished. But Hindu stone, of course, is very, very intricately carved. So they thought at one time they had all the time in the world to remove this carving, but of course they eventually got booted out by the Mughals. And so the carving remains. So that is a wonderful building. Let's have a look at it close up. It's supposed to represent, they're supposed to look like beehives. I'm not sure that that's the case, nevertheless. So the bottom, which I think it's 14 metres across the bottom. You'll see the bottom tier before the first balcony is angular and circular, and then when you go up, the next tier is just circular, and then the tier above that
is just angular, and then it's just circular, and it's a very ornate top to it. And of course, it's a minaret, calling people to prayer. You used to be able to go inside it and climb up, but that stopped sometime, I think it was about the 1990s, maybe earlier. But the first time I came here, you couldn't see the top for smog, so it's much better today. So this is this iron pillar. It's quite amazing that they're suggesting that at least half of it is underground, and when the Muslims wanted to shift it, they couldn't melt it, they couldn't move it, they couldn't do anything with it, so it just had to stay here. And here it's stayed ever since. It's got an inscription halfway up. I don't know what it says. It's in some strange language. You can see the top of the minaret. I mean, it looks absolutely stunning in the evening sunshine. Beautiful. This rose-coloured sandstone. Sound of an aircraft going across. The banding has verses from the Quran on it.
Yeah, I know. Go further. Let's go further.
Well, this is typical of Hindu temples. Intricate carving of the stones. When the Muslims from Afghanistan came and reused this stone, rather than remove the carving, they simply took the stones and turned them around, because there's no carving on the inside. If you look beyond that little dome, you'll see another structure. Nothing there. This was meant to be an even bigger tower. It was 29 metres across, but they never got round to finishing it. Whether another wave of invaders came down and kicked them out, I don't know, but that was as far as they got, and it's still there. But it was going to be much bigger than this one. And that's just wonderful. A slightly different view of it. It looks the same from every side, really. But, it is a wonderful structure. Qutub Minar. This was the one which was going to be a lot bigger. But you can see by that little inscription on the right, it didn't get very far. So you can see how these things were constructed. It's basically rubble, infilled with cement, and then faced with dressed stone. Like many structures, I mean viaducts on the railways in England were exactly the same. Sort of pillars, hollow pillars with dressed stone filled with rubble. But it would have been one impressive thing if we managed to finish it off. So we're leaving the Qatar, I can't remember the name. centre of the big minaret, and we're making our way back to the hotel. But on the way back, we will drive past the gateway to India. It was designed by Lutyens, and it's a bit like the Menin Gate in Agra, in that it contains tens of thousands of names of Indian soldiers who gave their lives to fight for the Allies in the 1914-18 war. And also there will be various big avenues, and again buildings designed by Lutyens and his friend, who hated, well, I say friend, they absolutely hated one another. This joint venture to design this, what they call New Delhi, when the British moved the capital from Kolkata to Delhi, somewhere around about, was it 1919, something like that. When all this big wide avenues and big Lutyens type buildings were slung up. Created New Delhi as opposed to the completely overcrowded old Delhi where we were on those cycle rickshaws earlier on. So whether we get a photograph or whether we get some video of the Indian Gate, I don't know. We'll see. Lutyens and Baker, when they moved the capital from Calcutta, started building New Delhi in 1911, and it was opened in 1931. I mean, Baker and Lutyens couldn't stop one another. It's really strange. But they were set to design this sort of Rome, Indian Rome, all sorts of styles. Now this is the area where all the British civil service people live. They're now all embassies and things, and they have great fences around them, and army little control towers here, there and everywhere. Security is very, very tight here.
Having been at the Qutub Minar, we then had a quick drive around New Delhi. It was designed by Sir Edwin Lutyens and Sir Herbert Baker, who by all accounts couldn't stand one another, so it must have been quite a difficult operation. It was started in 1911 and completed in 1931. Big wide avenues, huge buildings, particularly the Viceroy's house. Lots and lots of gardens and parks and bungalows for the British administrators of the Raj. Tremendous contrast to the cramped and overcrowded streets of old Delhi. And in the middle of it all is the Indian Gate, the memorial to some 80,000 Indian troops who fought for the British in the First World War. I think there are something like 13,300 names actually inscribed on the inside of the gate, and there's the tomb of the unknown soldier with its eternal flame burning underneath. Security is absolutely tight here because most of these buildings are parliamentary buildings or indeed foreign embassies, and parking's a nightmare. You can't actually park on the road, so we just drove around it a couple of times, and so you only get a glimpse of it. But it's very much like many other similar memorials designed by Lutyens at the Menin Gate and even that giant thing at Qutb. You can see the same design features.
So here, these are the Parliament buildings.
Is the Viceroy's palace. The last Viceroy to live there was Mountbatten.
So that's the Viceroy's
with his family. And Pamela Mountbatten, who's written a biography of life in the Mountbatten family and at the Viceroy's Palace. She says, first of all, that there were endless corridors leading nowhere, and also that she used to keep a bicycle outside her bedroom so that she could cycle down the corridors to breakfast because it took so long to walk there. It's now the Indian Parliament building, and it's somewhere near here on the steps of the India Parliament building that Nehru made that famous speech on August the 15th, 1947, when India declared independence. The stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, and when India will awake to life and freedom.
So it was opened in 1931, and then 16 years later, in 1947, having spent all this money and built this magnificent capital, the British got kicked out.
Yeah. That India has taken.
We're just coming up to the India Gate here, and this is, as I said earlier, this is a bit like the Menin Gate in that it has the names of tens of thousands of Indian soldiers who fought for the British in the First World War.
Which is sometime in January.
Again, it was designed by Lutyens.
January the 11th last year, and I had a poppy in my jacket, and most people were very confused about what that might be. So the names are inscribed on the inside of the archway. And if you look at lots of Lutyens memorials, they're all exactly the same.
Yes,
well, similar, like I should say. And if you look to your left, you can see back down to the...
It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and we've just arrived at Delhi station. There are people sleeping everywhere. Well, this is us at 5:15 on Delhi station, waiting to go to Agra on the train. It's a 2-hour train journey. And, it's not as busy as I thought it might be. Nevertheless, it is pretty busy. And here's these porters, they're carrying all this stuff on top of them. It always amazes me how they get 2 bags on top. So here's our train coming in. Tremendous length, these trains. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and we've just arrived at Agra station. Pulling away from Agra station now on our way to the hotel.
Welcome to Agra. Hope you enjoyed your train journey.